Well, folks, we are checking out the conditions here, trying to decide if it's safe to drive. I slid all over my driveway, put on some new boots, traction when I do that. Otherwise, I was sliding worse than ice skates. So I'm out here on the street. Once I get away from the house, the ice, this surface is not wet. I mean, it's not slick. I can't explain that. And then I find little pockets where it's slick. Obviously, the snow is turned into an ice pile. The biggest lesson so far the morning is the difference that traction makes. The shoes that I was wearing before did not have appropriate traction compared to these snow boots. The reason you want snow boots is because, like up here, there's a snow mound. In an emergency, if you're losing control on your feet, you can, see it almost slipped there, you can throw your feet into the snow and you can walk in the snow. Obviously, the snows are high these days because it's all been mounded by a grader. So, you want snowshoes on for that reason, even though it's not actually that cold. All right, windows are clearing up. This is a good sign. So the ice melts with a pretty reasonable amount of heat exposure. Go around and scrape these. Make sure it all comes off okay. Well, I finally became eligible for live streams this last weekend, and I really wasn't sure how it works. I know that, wow, I must have defrost lines in this side panel window. This ice looked really bad a few minutes ago. It was thick on every side of the car, and with just a couple of minutes, this is the difference that between 20 degrees and 0 degrees. It really is, 30 degrees and 0 degrees, frankly. I think we're going to have a rough ride this morning. I'm told that there's a jackknife semi on the highway that I take, but it's on the other side. So is at this time, to my knowledge, the roads are passable. Well, we got us a clean car, folks. We're in business. Okay. Well, I'll count this as a test, and we'll pick back up. We'll pick back up here in a second. So I could make you wait in the car. I can make you wait in the car, huh? See how that works. Orientation is blocked. Rotate device back. Oh, we have to keep it like this. That's interesting. We're learning a lot of things here. So here's the console. Again, I'm not sure how live stream works. It may not be the best view. And obviously, there's nobody watching right now because it's ungodly early. It's more about the convenience for me in not having to upload later. So we'll see if that actually works out. So I'm going to mount in the dash, go get my stuff, and I'll be back. As the Terminator said, happy freaking Monday. turn off this microphone. Just trying to keep my voice down for the neighbors. They can hear most things if they don't want to or want to. Good. Microphone is off. I'm going to change this heater so that it's not so loud. This car warmed up like a champ today because it's 30. Alright, that says 37 degrees. I have to decide whether I think that's true or not. I don't think that's true. But we know it will be safely warm today. I know that one coworker has already made it in. But it's not pretty. Let's just see how not pretty it is. Alright, so the whole road is in the footage here, more or less. Try and get it covered. I'm glad there's nobody actually watching to like troll me right now, because not that I'd read comments or something, but being my first time I've done this live stream, you know, I just want to see how it works. I mean, I might get cut off for all I know, or I might run out of data or something. I don't know how that works. Is the data used to stream live higher than what it takes to upload a video? I know that when I try to upload on Wi-Fi, it takes sometimes up to half a day from the time I tried to upload the video until when it's uploaded. Now, what I understand from YouTube is that my live streams will be automatically uploaded, but I have to go in and turn the privacy settings off of private by default. So the stream is public with limitations. The limitations are the number of your subscribers plus 75 people. 75 people plus your number of subscribers. And if for some reason you hit 1,000 subscribers, okay, low sliding. If you hit 1,000 subscribers, then there becomes a lot more bureaucracy, and I think they take it away again. They assign someone to actually look at your channel and make sure that it is on the up and up. So this road is likely to have been lightly traveled this morning. So that's a concern. The further north we go, better off we'll be. I know for a fact that someone drove from 112th Street, and we are well south of 112th Street. That's probably about 7 minutes north of here, yeah, maybe longer. I get there, we know at least one person made that path passably to my office from that location. General location, I suppose. I don't know exactly the facts. We also know that the further south you go, the worse the weather system was. So, you know, having these rules of thumb, it gives you an idea of when to be vigilant and when to go back to goof it off. I would say that once I get to probably the 435 interchange, I think I'll be in good shape. Because there are two factors working in our favor. One, more people drive. Alright, I can't stop here. I'm not stopping. Flasher's on. Stab the brakes. Alright, I got stopped. So I put the flashers on, I stabbed the brakes. I was going to cruise into the intersection against my wishes. And I also warned the person behind me. But look, we're on a nice, rainy, wet type road now. I told you this would happen. The further north you go, the better. All right. The second factor that we have going in our favor is that the temperatures are trending upward as the day goes by. It's not going to be a big increase, but it's enough to give one optimism, to give one, not to make one say, well, let's just give up and go home, right? Eventually, water melts, right? So those are the two things we have going in our favor. You know, the downside of that, if I wanted to argue, okay, going across a bridge, get interested. All right, perk up. All right, bridges are a little different because the surfaces have exposed air underneath them, and that makes them freeze in different patterns than the rest of the roadway. It should be common knowledge, but if it's not, you need to know that and think about that. Look for the rails. You often don't know you're going across the bridge, except there's usually some kind of pedestrian structure built to separate them from the bridge. So that's the story on today. I think it's going to be fine. I actually wanted to talk about something else that I just learned about for the first time this weekend, and I'm shocked I've never heard of this before. And okay, 150 I think we're going to be in good shape on this drive so far. So I've learned for the first time about ghost trucks. Okay, GHOST trucks. I did not know what this was until I was yesterday years old. But apparently, with the prevalence of dash cams, let's first go back to dash cams. Dash cams show what's going on outside of a vehicle, much like the camera that I have. But there's been a movement in the commercial trucking business to add dash cams to pretty much all vehicles. Sometimes they face inward, most of the time they face outward at least, sometimes both, sometimes on the rear as well. You'll see that on, Amazon vans or similar style vans, I should say. So when you have this footage that's being taken all the time, you're suddenly capturing more of these sort of unknown phenomena, right? And a ghost truck is one of these unknown phenomena where it's usually a sort of perpendicular little company on the road. I mean, that's the concern, right, is that it melts from someone driving on it and then refreezes before I drive on it, right? That could happen at any time. And like I said, the true factors that determine whether you crash are beyond your control. Here we have a heavily traveled road. So, a ghost truck is a truck that shows up on these cameras, but it also shows up to the driver. And I went down quite a rabbit hole. Not a long one, but a substantial one. What do we got here? Something flashing in the other lane. It's a salt truck. Alright. That's... okay, so either an HOA or the municipality here has paid for a salt truck. I think it's the HOA. I'm really glad I didn't go on my alternate route, which... this person is stopping with a long runway. Probably because turns are a little less safe. Anyways, according to the commenters, people who have driven trucks for a long time will see these at night. And they will see them in places where we think, anyways, someone driving a truck died. And instead of having, the ghost of, Grandma Myrtle in the old home, you have a sort of ghost image of the truck driver in his truck before he or she died. And that image sort of freezes itself into the roadway and can be seen in the wee hours of the morning, often only by truckers, perhaps to warn them of that area. Maybe if someone drives through that area at the exact same time the person died or the crash occurred, you can see very specific make and model of the truck
more than you can see the person so much, right? It's really because you're in the truck and that's a truck. The image I saw was of the passenger side of the truck going perpendicular across the roadway, so there was no, you could clearly see the model of the truck, and there was sort of this foggy orb style. It really didn't look fake, frankly. It looked like exactly what I said it was, an unexplained phenomenon. And apparently this term ghost truck is used, right? People have seen these things. It's, for me, someone who works with truck crashes and, you know, deceased participants of truck crashes, I'm fascinated by this. Also, as someone who has sort of a truck driver advocacy, you know, to the extent it's real, you know, what creates the ghost image is not just about the death, but also about the dedication that the driver has to the mission and the vehicle. You know, that person wanted to accomplish a job, that person wanted to go home after accomplishing the job, that person wanted to get paid for the job and to get it done. And to see that ultimate frustration and agony, one of the things that make trucks different is that you really survive more crashes than the average person when you're in one. You can take a lot bigger hits, you can go through a lot worse things than a passenger car can. You're going to go through a hell of a gauntlet. If you actually die behind the wheel of a big rig, you've went through things that most people would have been peacefully done for by the time you experience it. You know, you're going through a level of injury that, you know, most other people would have been dead or at least unconscious before experiencing. And that is something that I sort of think about too when I think about these ghost images. But if I wanted to be a skeptic, all right, I'm turning on the seat warmer. I'm not super happy with the windshield quality here. If I can use it. There we go, a little water. Why is it that the truck is always in perfect condition in the image? That doesn't make sense to me. Why isn't the why is there not damage to the truck? Why is it you don't see a trailer? All right. So you know, is that cause for skepticism a little bit? Most trucks don't show damage in regular accidents. I mean, you can have an accident that really messes up a car, but you don't see. Ah, boy, I just had a really bone-chilling realization on that point. I mean, that's why I turned my seat warmer on. I'm chilled just talking about this stuff. It's creepy. I mean, I just lost a viewer probably because this is creepy. Okay. I have heard from many truck drivers who, at the time of an accident, they make a decision to make an evasive act that is almost, I am covered in chills, you guys. They make a decision to do something, much like sort of the trolley engineer problem in philosophy. They have to decide who to kill. Oh boy, this is creepy. But they have to make these last second decisions, right? And I can't tell you how many times I've heard someone say, if I didn't do this, that person would have died. That car occupant would have died. And they have to make these decisions at the time of the crash. And sometimes they make decisions, my guess for these ghost trucks is that they made a decision that maybe that they would save whoever it is they were going to hit at the expense of themselves. And if someone made that choice, that they're in the full-size truck, it's not damaged, but they have to swerve. They have to go off the road. They have to go somewhere they're not supposed to go. And it's sort of like when you're going to hit a deer, right? You make a decision to just sort of slow down and hit it. Well, truck drivers could do that. They could hit it, and they could probably kill the person inside. But they also kind of are heroes in a lot of respects. And sometimes they make choices to sacrifice their own person and property so that they aren't on the giving end of some of these tragedies. And if I had to guess the type of if I had to guess who's in the ghost truck, I guess that would be my guess, is that it's capturing that moment from the time a driver says, I'm going this way because I don't want to hit the person standing there, the group of kids that got out of the van because the van got a flat tire, whatever it is. And then they lose control, and then they realize it's not going to end well. And that's where you sort of maybe have that unfinished business they talk about with ghosts or whatever. I'm not a big ghost person, but I also know that we have unexplained things, and we have people who go through experiences that are not a good, crossing over so much. And for me, as a very strong cynic of anything, I almost look at it as an energy imprint of a moment that was, sort of a camera flash of humanity or something like that. I don't necessarily see it as there being a being behind it or anything like that. It's just more of the energy that's left behind from that moment that sort of just sticks around and leaves a mark on the planet, because we have a very responsive planet in terms of energy and things. Okay, well, I'm not on a great road right now. This is slushy and I don't like it. So we're going about 38 miles an hour, usually going a lot more than that. This road is usually people flying. Nobody's flying. So this could be a long and stressful drive. Someone asked me to turn my defroster on high, but if I do that, you're not going to hear me very well. Not that that should be a consideration. Okay, we've got a car with no lights on the shoulder. Not a great shoulder, especially when the shoulders are filled with snowdrifts. Okay, so we got to watch out for that. People pull over in these shoulders. They don't have the full space of an already narrow lane. I'm just going to stay out of the far right lane for safety reasons, because you will clip the side or the corner of a car if that happens. It happens all the time. You don't have time to respond. You have to make those last minute decisions. Do I turn into the car next to me and cause a crash in my own right, or do I just take the hand I'm dealt here and lie in the bed I've made and hit this other car? Let's not put ourselves in that situation. So I'm thinking that I don't have great wipers, and that is playing a role here. The professional driver behind me is going very slow, and there's something to that. I'm going 55, and I feel like that is aggressive for the conditions, but it's also generally the speed of traffic. right, we're crossing a bridge. I'm off the throttle. You can hardly tell that's a bridge, but if you know, you know. And 1 degree difference matters right now. It's 32. So we've got ice that could be forming, not forming, lanes that are untouched, and then they sort of get run over and the ice melts. I mean, it's a dicey situation. And, you know, we're just going to do our best, but ultimately, I think we're going to be in good shape because, you know, most of my confidence comes from the fact that about an hour ago, I know someone who drove through here and made it to my very office. So when you've got that kind of confidence, now, are all cars the same? No. But we're crossing another bridge. Another clue that we're crossing a bridge is, you know, there's that stoplight where someone's driving underneath you. You see a stoplight, obviously that means that you're on a bridge. As I just talked about, for those of you who've just joined, I'm not going to do that. Rewind it. Okay. All right. Temperature's 32 degrees. Lane is, I think it's, now, the one nice thing about, I don't know, it's good and it's bad. These roads were clear to the surface before the rain came. What's good about that? Obviously there's less material. Got some sirens over there. Something happened, I can't see it. It's not on the highway, it's in the intersection. Ambulance in an intersection a block away. Okay, so that's what happened to me earlier where I tried to stop, couldn't stop. People in Missouri have the same idea of, you know, just don't stop at the intersection, and 2 people do that and it get ugly. So I'm coming up on a slower guy. We're going 50. Honestly, if these roads were icy, we just would see more evidence of instability. We would see a car that lost control. We would see a car lose control. Okay, here's a good moment. This sign has the chance to tell me if there's a blocked road. All it says is watch road conditions. If we had something bad on one of these highways coming up, it would warn us, and it would tell us to, you know, be prepared to stop or something like that. We don't have any major blockages of at least 3 major highways in either direction that we can get on up here. 71 north and south, 470 east and west, and 435 east and west. So that's, well, maybe just the east for us, maybe this way. What I didn't anticipate was the increase in precipitation that we're seeing. Obviously the temps are supposed to hold today, but adding water to the ice rink is... Alright, this truck has flashers on. Does that mean brake failure? Does it mean I'm just going slow? Unclear. Alright, well, I see a lot of traffic in both directions. I think it's good to have waited a little bit. I'm not going to be, quote, on time to work, but as I've made it pretty clear in the past, I'm not obsessed with that so much. I'm not paid by the hour. But I'm starting to get a little impatient here. I guess I shouldn't be. If someone's going slower than you, it can be frustrating. But I have found that more often than not, they're doing you a favor. The favor is to make you slow down, and often there is a hazard of some kind. ramps are less safe than regular roadways, and I see a lot of activity going on in comments. Just know I'm not going to be able to see those right now and read them, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of opinions on things that maybe aren't as important as they seem right now, in terms of maybe my actions or inactions, but I've always done things kind of my way, and it's worked pretty well for me. And turning off the seat warmer now that I'm not talking about ghosts anymore. I did think that was an interesting topic, and gives you sort of something to look into if you're interested in it. I guess I'm curious why it's ghost trucks and not cars. I think the reason for that is probability. Truck drivers drive at nighttime and in the early mornings more than people in cars do. Part of the business, there's more emotional connection. If you happen to be in a car at 4 a.m. on a road trip, you're not necessarily invested, you're probably asleep. A truck driver is not in a sleepy form of energy most of the time. They're in a professional, I've rested for this on a night shift kind of energy, and I'd say that's a lot different. Okay, well, we're on 435 north, Kansas City metropolitan area. Now, for the first time today, hitting the highway speed of about 65. We're at 32 degrees. The car was covered in a sheet of ice this morning. As I showed at the very beginning of the stream, my driveway was a complete impassable sheet of ice. I had to cling to the car just to walk around and look. I wanted to go down to the street, but I wasn't wearing snowshoes, and I didn't want to throw my feet into an 18-inch high pile of snow. So I decided to claw my way back up the car to the garage area where I could then change my shoes. And once I did, the traction difference was astounding. So that's the difference between good tires or snow tires and racing slicks, right? Or bad tires, because a bad tire for us is essentially a racing slick. You get better fuel economy, better speed and efficiency, but you lose the friction and traction that provides the safety elements for traversing ice or large amounts of water or whatever it is. And so that's why tires are important. You reach a point as tires deteriorate where they're not safe for snow, and then you reach a point where they're not safe for rain. And ideally, you keep tires that are ready for all weather conditions, but they're not fun to pay for. This I know. Okay. It's kind of like a pair of shoes. You buy them once, you buy them well, and they'll last you a long time. Okay, well, I would say we're doing great here. I see a lot of activity in the comments there. I'm not going to look at it. But I hope that it's enjoyable. If not, turn it off, I guess. I don't care. I'm not out here to gain... I've got all the traction that I need. Okay, so we are feeling good here, but feeling good can lead to complacency, which can lead to ill preparedness. So we want to be cautious. I'd say I'm on a bridge right now. Let off the throttle. Remember, just in case. I think we're in good shape here. Alright, folks. Windshields a little dirty. see what that does. I mean, I have not seen, other than the car that pulled over, and I think it had done so last night, likely for mechanical reasons, I have not seen a single stranded car. Now, I am about a few miles, about 15 miles away from where, oh boy, where a semi-truck jackknife. And the unique thing about a jackknife is that you can't really correct it. You can't just like back up just so and fix it. I believe it requires a wrecker to come out. And not just any wrecker, but a heavy-duty rated truck tractor. I say truck tractor, but there's a precise term for a truck that hauls other trucks, and I'm trying to remember it. It might be a tow truck tractor, something like that. Anyways, these are very expensive, very heavy items. Now, they're not that much heavier than a regular truck. Obviously, they're built differently, and they're not as functional because they're over the length of commercial vehicle requirements to haul a trailer. But the cargo they're pulling is simply a truck and a trailer. The cargo is not usually hauled in a tow because it's usually transloaded into a different trailer and then taken to its destination, if you're lucky. Sometimes it is, and it's held hostage until the tow truck company gets paid. And the people who own the cargo love that because they don't really care whether the owner of the trailer has the funds to pay for a $20,000 tow. They just want their stuff back. And actually what they really want is for the insurance company of the cargo to just pay out the value so that they can write it on and off and on. But if you're the insurance company for the cargo, what do you want to do? Well, you want to get that cargo and resell it and try to get your money back. So there's a lot of people fighting these tow companies and trying to pay them but not pay them. That's a deep dive that nobody needs, but it's a thing that goes on. So there's a little bit of slush, left lane, avoiding the slush. This moron is going 40 miles an hour in the center lane. But guess what? I got over. You hear that? That was some slush. Some slush. That ruined my car wash, I'll tell you what. So this lane has been neglected by traffic. I'm getting back over. This guy's slowing down. I don't know what's going on here or why things have taken such a turn. It's not consistent with my linear progression of melting roads and warming temperatures. Getting a little frustrated at why that's not working out so well. What we have to factor sometimes is what I call the sort of idiot factor, which is people just overcorrect and are unnecessarily driving slow because it makes them feel good about themselves or that they're doing something smart. But let me tell you, you're not necessarily doing something smart. You're really just slowing everything down and creating vehicle interactions. I've gone on the vehicle interactions rant a few times. Essentially, they're bad. You want to travel the speed of traffic and avoid other vehicles. If you make every vehicle pass you, you're creating a safety hazard. It's almost selfish on your end because I have a theory that people driving very slow are usually impaired and they don't want to be accused of being reckless or impaired, so they, just drive really slow. Okay. Well, we're finally making it to northernmost highway of the drive today. My understanding is that the freezing factors were worse in the south, so that was sort of the third prong of my linear improvement expectation today was the further north I went, the better off I'd be, which is probably not exactly true, given that we know there was a jackknife semi about 10 miles ahead of the present location, maybe less than that. So we'll see what happens. Commutes can be like a box of chocolates, right? You don't know what you're gonna get. Most of the time, it's routine. Days like today are when it's not routine. We still had a lot of ice in that gore right there. Actually, I think that's what you call an artificial gore, G-O-R-E, like a politician. Gore is an area of a road that is typically covered in grass, and it's made to direct traffic away from a specific area. Today, most gores are called artificial gores because they are not a raised grass bed, but rather some painted lines with stripes in them, and you are not supposed to drive in them. If you drive in a gore or stop in one, I mean, it's just absolutely not a good thing. You see people cross them. Okay, there's another Dodge Challenger pulled over. It's got a sticker on it, so law enforcement has been out. Again, I don't think that's from today, or at least not recently. It looks like the severe weather tow your car signs are not in effect right now. I think there's got to be a certain amount of snowfall for that to happen. We're not there. That's why that car has a sticker on it, rather than being removed by law enforcement. They'll call a tow company essentially and have it taken away. I've heard they finally quit making the Dodge Challenger. A fair bit of trivia. It was a car that I really wanted when I was 25 years old. That was a very cool looking car. One of my business associates and I were going to take a road trip, and we were going to rent a car, and I said, let's rent a Dodge Challenger. You know, let's make a point of it. So we had this plan to rent a Dodge Challenger and drive the hour and a half we needed to go, and something happened, the trip got canceled, and never did. Someday. Alright, so we've got, I'm going 60 miles an hour, no rhyme or reason, but it feels right. Faster does not feel right. We have another 10, 12 miles to go. Let's go. This is going to pan out okay. One never knows. I'm seeing a lot of healthy traffic on the westbound side, which tells me that the road is probably not clogged, at least not clogged in one of the higher populous areas, because we're just seeing a lot of rush hour traffic pick up. 32 on the nose. I don't think the roads are going to freeze at 32 because it's just the minimum. They're going to warm up from the usage, especially westbound. I mean, that is just a lot of cars. So, are we safe to say that we're really clear? Say there's a good chance. Now there are some roads in Green Valley that were never treated, and I drive on them. Be interested to see what that soupy, slushy mess looks like. Other than that, though, I would say for the next 3 miles, things are looking good. Things are looking good. I've been trying to catch up on my trades that have content ideas, but I'm just not quite there yet. I've got about 250 emails, each containing article links that I may or may not want to read or know about. And that's just a lot of material that I've let pile up. We'll see what's going on out there, and maybe have something more interesting to talk about this afternoon. The weather's about all I got today, other than the ghost truck thing, which I thought was pretty interesting. I think I need new wipers. There's that irritating bit of mist that fills up the window but smears it. Well, schools were canceled today in many neighborhoods along this commute. The reason being that at the time the schools sort of start their operations, it's if you went outside like I did and saw your property covered in ice, you didn't feel so good about that day. I gotta tell you, it was not an optimistic feeling. But after this car warmed up in moments, the ice quickly softened up and fell off the windows. I walked down to the street in snowshoes, although it wasn't evident in the first couple of minutes in the stream. That's what I did. And the thing about asphalt, and at least in the city, asphalt and concrete, that's different is that you've got that texture from the chip seal, which gives the place for the water to kind of hide. It gives some sort of gritty surface for traction, even if it's just the tips of the mountains. It's enough to sort of meet the tips of the tires, so to speak, and you can drive. Highway surfaces are different than that. It's not the same thing, but they're also designed and engineered with temperature changes in mind. Alright, semi-truck is pulled off the road with flashers. I can't actually see it, but I saw over the corner. Okay, I saw this guy right here. You can't even see him in the right lane. Flashers on, hazards on, I should say. And I just wonder why. What do truck drivers know that we don't know? Well, they have CB radios. They also have a higher vantage point. They also have dispatchers who are telling them what's going on with their colleagues all over the highway network, or even the region. So they might know something I don't know. They might not. They also have a lot more problems with their equipment than we have with our cars. So there's that. But sometimes you can read a signal into a semi-truck's behavior. Often we like to read the signals into the more reckless ones who probably are not connected to centralized dispatch. Prime Incorporated, for example, the truck we just passed, is a large company based in southwest Missouri. They have technology that connects all of their trucks. So we know that perhaps somebody at Prime told that truck to slow down to a certain speed, either for logistics reasons, such as the dock you're going to is backed up, so just slow down, you'll save fuel, and you'll get there at the same time. there's some of that going on too. But it could be for a known traffic backup or something. It could be, slow down, we're going to find you a parking space at a truck stop, a few miles away, but give us time to get it reserved and find the best spot and negotiate a price, or who knows, there's a lot of... Okay, now here's an example of the reckless one. ES services, that's an end dump. Many companies will not even insure those kinds of trucks because they can essentially dump 80,000 pounds of material onto a person, a place, or a thing. And that can cause a lot of trouble. He was going about 70 miles an hour in the 65 zone. I'm going about 55. Is that bad? Is that good? I don't know, but it feels about right. Finally getting some daylight. Some water. Well, I have never been so thankful to not have an adventure, because I don't need an adventure. Normalcy. Same as any rainy day. If it was 5 degrees warmer, absolutely. But bottom line is, I've got about 5 miles to go. Gas tank still says full. A little tempting to open up and pass, but there's a car up here. I'm gonna do that. I really don't have good visibility right now. Just this annoying kind of rain, and then it looks like smudges show up on the windshield. Not really sure what it's from. If I use the windshield washer, it clears it. I think that's a reminder for us all crossing a bridge here. It's a reminder for us all to check that washer fluid, because I probably used a pint just on this drive this morning. It was a lot of liquid just to keep the windshield kind of clear. Will be a day when that runs out. There's no warning light on that stuff. It's just there and then it's gone. It's always important to check. I'm not sure that my mechanic checks that stuff. If they do, they don't note it on the paperwork. I think they note it and charge you $5 or something. Washer fluid looks a lot like the power wash soap that I have. It's the same color, so I gotta be careful. If I poured power wash cleaner into my reservoir, I'd have a pretty messy windshield. Okay. Might be our last bridge for the next 3 miles. 2 miles. It's looking good, folks, although there's a lot of lights up here. What are these lights? Say they are Department of Transportation, MoDOT trucks. You can see they're staggered, so they're probably treating the right lane and then the left lane, or they've finished the treatment and they're headed to... My visibility is just rotten today. I cannot see. It says stay back so many feet. Is it a salt distributor? It is. Oh wow, we just got hit by a piece of salt, folks. Calcium chloride, to be more specific. table salt being sodium chloride. Calcium deposits are what you see on your floor mats, things when you get that material on your shoes. It dissolves, that leaves a milky residue. That's calcium. And it's, you know, if you eat it, you know, put it on your food, it's good for your bones. So that was a joke. So don't actually do that. But it is calcium. Most of the time the products are now. A lot of states are using novelty products and different things that they create themselves to apply to the road. Sometimes they're liquid products. That was clearly a solid product. Probably designed to not ship glass as well, so it hits you, but it doesn't. I've got another rig up here, probably doing the left lane, but my visibility is so bad, I just can't. All I can see is a big flashy thing. And then there's another one in front of it. Okay, that one is dropping salt. One in front of it must have run out. It's not dropping salt, but I do think it's kind of clever that they can combine plow in the salt in one vehicle. Somebody should get a bonus for that one. Well, folks, we did it. Of course, I filled up all my cars at a much more expensive price as I pull into town here, and it's much cheaper. The best way for me to get the price of gas to go down is for me to fill up, as I always say. Golly, we almost didn't stop there. The best way to get it to rain is to go get a car wash. On Saturday I got a car wash and a new tank of gas. So, two new tanks of gas. So, true to form, we get lower prices and we get rain. So there you have it. Well, folks, we have pretty much done it. Made it. I actually don't know how to turn this off. I want there to be a good, clean transition. This is my first live stream. I see some people tuned in, probably trolled me a little bit. Found some backseat drivers, and I did not read anything I see in those comments. It's too small. I can barely see the crap out my windshield this morning, so that's that. And here are those roads I was talking about that weren't treated. We're turning on it. Alright, we're in good shape. Well, everyone, I hope you stay home, drink some cocoa, and let the morons like me keep doing their moronic things. And if you have to get out there today, just stay on a sled. Have some fun. Bye-bye.